Good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. So today we're going live with a entrepreneur based all the way in the US in different fields. We're going to be talking all about that. So let's get Dessie Brown Jr. on this live. Here we go. Super.
Yo, what's up, my man?
Dessie Brown Jr., how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Good, good. All is well. Thank you so much for coming on this live, coming
Yeah,
here, sharing the knowledge that you have gained over the years of being an entrepreneur. How did you start that? How did you do it? How did you achieve all this success? Thank you for coming on here and being on this mission with me today.
yeah, absolutely, man.
No, total pleasure. Sorry, I think
Yeah,
yep, we're good. We're good.
okay. Especially, with you being in the UK and everything like that, I thought it was a dope opportunity to connect with you and your audience. So I'm very grateful, and I love everything that you have going on over there.
Super, appreciate it. So before we start, Desi, I mean, if you can introduce yourself as
Yeah.
to who you are and what exactly is it that you do. I mean, I've learned so much about you from your profile. You know, you're into sports, you're into media, entertainment,
Yeah.
it'd be marketing, it'd be influencing, so many things. So go on, tell us, I mean, introduce yourself.
Yeah. So for those who may not know me, I'm Dessie Brown Jr. and I'm based in Dallas, but I spend a lot of time in Houston and Los Angeles as well. But at my core, I consider myself a connector, and I try to connect, people with opportunities, companies with influencers, all over the place. So that's kind of what I do. And I also consider myself a an early adopter. So I try to be, first to market or in the first wave of when there's some kind of new, whether it be technology or an industry or things like that. So currently, my background is radio, event activations, marketing, even throwing, nightlife events and things like that. But I have a passion for sports, passion for radio. Now I'm starting to be more involved with podcasting and also esports as well. And so my particular role in esports, I would say, is for a traditional brand or company. I would be the person that's kind of in the middle that's translating everything to the new technology of esports. And if a company wants to have a point of entry, I'm the one that will kind of tell them, hey, if this is what you're trying to do, then this is the way you should go. So that's kind of where I am in the space.
So you're consulting businesses, you're consulting companies, you're consulting individuals,
Absolutely.
connecting them, people who have the opportunities, connecting them with people who want the opportunities, right?
Yeah. Uh huh. And
That's an amazing fix
it,
that you have going on. It's super to know that.
yeah, for sure. And like I said, I never meet a stranger. So I feel like I could strike up a conversation with anybody within 5 minutes. We'll figure out, we might know five of the same people or, we have in common. So, yeah,
That's a great personality to have. You know, a lot of people they're out there, but they may be good at selling, they may be good at making that conversation once they're in there, but sometimes they don't know how to start it, how to go about it, or how to approach an individual. So before we go on with the whole conversation of what you're going to be talking about,
yeah,
um, you know, I ask this to all my guests that come on here. You know, when we were growing up as kids, teenagers, school going, college going, whatever it is, we see so many different careers in front of us and we aspire to be like them, you know, whether it's an architect or an engineer or a doctor, lawyer, whatever it is, you know.
yeah.
What was it that inspired you? I mean, were you sort of business entrepreneur, marketing driven from the very start, or was it something totally out of the world that you wanted to, you know, sometimes people come on here and say, I wanted to be an astronaut, but here I am doing sales. So what is it that you wanted to do?
Yeah, so with me, I always knew that I wanted to run some kind of business. I was never really sure what kind. my dad, he was a engineer with a company called Raytheon, and they would make, airplane parts for the government and things like that. So,
Okay.
yeah, and then I was always into computers really early on. I think in kindergarten, I think, or first grade is when my dad got me my first computer. So I've
Wow.
always been a nerd, like in that sense, uh, and then even going back to probably maybe fifth or sixth grade, I was selling candy at school. And so it was one of those situations where I would go to like the local candy store and and if I remember correctly, if you bought a pack of, say, like the big Jolly
Yep,
Rancher,
yep, yep, yep.
Taffy or something like that, or Blow Pops, if you bought them for, say, $4 a box, you could make $9. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
You sell them individually.
Yeah, sell them individually. But my thing was figuring out that, you know what, the Jolly Ranchers, they last too long, and the Blow Pops, they last a little bit longer than you like. So I try to get more taffies because if people ate a taffy, you could eat a taffy right away, and then you want another one. So yeah,
Exactly. It
yeah,
it leaves that taste in your mouth, right? You want to go for it again. Um,
yeah,
so I think that's what captured your mind into the business world, I guess, right? And I mean, selling candies is one thing, but then today you're selling opportunities, you're networking, you're connecting. So all
mhm,
those ideas that you have to pitch, I mean, it comes from somewhere, right? Whatever it is. So it'd be selling toffees at school or selling yo-yos, whatever it is, you're in that mind frame.
uh-huh.
Um, so you did school, you went to university, college, whatever it is. What
Yeah.
is it that you got into during the university years or the college years?
Yeah, yeah. So going from high school to college, I always thought I was going to play football. So I had a few recruiting visits and things like that, but for whatever reason, it didn't work out. So I ended up at the University of North Texas,
Okay.
and uh, and I was majoring in radio, television, and film, but I also had an interest in marketing. And through high school, I always rapped and did music and produced and things like that, like in local talent shows. But once
Okay.
I got to UNT, I started really meeting people that like had industry equipment and had access to like real studios and things like that. So I started really getting heavily into music and less in the school. And so eventually, you come to that point to where it's like, okay, what am I doing? I'm going back and fully into school. I'm not fully into music either. So finally, I just had to make a decision, and I kind of went a route. But yeah, but it worked out perfectly because I made so many connections going to school, and also I got an internship with a record
Someone saying
label.
Desi made really good music.
Yeah, that's her. What's up? But yeah, so I got an internship with Sony BMG, and so once I was their
Wow.
college intern, I had access to music. I had access to the
So
posters and
that so that so
things.
that
So
sort of so that sort of opened up your sort of
marketing,
your passion for music opened up all of those things for you in terms of networking with the right people, putting
yes,
your music out there so that people listen to that, and that's where you got your break with Sony BMG. How
yeah.
was it? How did you take that in? I mean, was it too quick for you, or was it like, I think this is what I work for and I'm here now? So how did you manage that sort of expectation?
Yeah, so it was just an internship, but what it opened up was the possibilities and the association, right? So by interning for Sony, I would get music early, I would get access to DJs, I would get access to celebrities sometime if they came through Dallas or through the college campus.
Yep, yep,
And
yep.
by being associated with that, that allowed people to take me more seriously within the music. And then from a marketing standpoint, what I learned was if I was going to parties on campus and they didn't play my music, it was because, they really wasn't worried about me, right?
Yeah.
So I started throwing my own events, and I figured if I hire the DJ, then the DJ has to play
It
my
has to
music.
play.
And the way I approach marketing was, I don't care if you don't like my music or don't care about me, but you can't say you haven't heard about it. And I still try to use that to this day. Like, you could say you never watched the Dessie show, you've never watched one of my interviews, you've never seen me, but you can't
But you've
say,
heard of.
yeah,
Absolutely. That's the I think the psychology that people should have, that even though they don't listen to it or they don't use your service,
yeah,
whatever business you're in, but they might have just heard about you,
yeah,
and go on that sort of confidence that even though they've not spoken to you or done business with you or whatever, but make that mark that you must have heard about whatever company you're representing, whether you're working for it, whether you are it,
yeah,
so it's a good way to move forward. um so you were into music.
yeah,
How did all of the other careers start? I
yeah.
mean,
So,
sports, you have media, you have entertainment, you're connecting people, you're marketing with people, you're influencing, you're
yeah,
consulting business. How did all of that, and
yeah.
you're still pretty young. So, how all of those careers sort of came about in such
Yeah,
short time?
yeah, so from there, I got a actual job with the magazine in Atlanta, and this is around the time when Atlanta was really growing. So you're talking about T.I., Young Jeezy, Ludacris, like these artists are really popping. And so now I'm back and forth from Atlanta, Houston, and Dallas, but now I have real industry connections. So around this time, I'm doing less music and more marketing. And what I figured out was I would always try to, identify problems and, try to, take advantage of your situations and opportunities. So when I was working for this magazine out of Atlanta, they had a big budget in Atlanta, but they were wanting to expand into Dallas, Houston, and a few other areas.
Okay.
And so and so what I did was I would say, okay, well, I know there are a lot of models around, and models want to be in music videos. Models want to be in magazines.
Magazines, on posters,
Yes.
whatever
So,
it is, you
so
gotta
I could
advertise
probably get
yourself.
a few of them to barter with me, basically. Okay, well, if I introduce you to these celebrities, well, I need you to wear this magazine T-shirt and go to this party with me. So it's a good look for everybody. It's a
Yeah,
good look for the magazine.
yeah.
It's a good look for the model to be associated with it, and it makes
and
me look better as well.
and the end customer, the artist or the celebrity, is happy, right?
Yes. Uh-huh. And so I started showing up at clubs with 5 or 6 girls promoting the magazine. So everybody wants to know who I am, who I work for, and so I get to build my Rolodex up more and more and more. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and through that, the parties got bigger, the
Events
access.
got.
Yeah, uh-huh. And then, and as the magazine started to kind of phase out, it was an indie magazine. So as it got to phase out, by then I had radio connections. So I went and got a job in radio.
Okay.
And there's a big personality, a nationally known syndicated radio personality named Tom Joyner. And so I ended up getting a job with Tom Joyner. So, he's one of the top, urban radio station hosts ever. And
Okay.
so once I started working with him, once again, that's another association.
Of
So
course.
even if I'm doing my marketing on the side or my events on the side, all people know is that I'm associated with Tom Joyner. So that gets me in a lot of doors that otherwise I may not be able to get in. So I just kind of kept parlaying that success that way.
So you were interning at the music company.
Yep.
You started your first job at a magazine shop. Then
Hmm.
you went into radio.
Yeah.
From radio, what did that lead into? TV, I guess.
Okay. So with radio, when I was doing radio, I still was throwing parties on the side on the weekends because I was a lot younger than the demographic that was associated with Tom Joyner. But the way I was able to parlay that was that if you met anybody that was older in business, they knew exactly who Tom Joyner was.
Of
All the
course.
people my age, they knew Tom, but they knew Tom in a way that like oh, my mom used to listen to him, or
Yeah,
hey, my grandfather used to listen to him. So, but it still helped when you're going into these business meetings and things like that.
exactly.
So from there, I started getting associated with a lot of celebrities, a lot of liquor companies, because I'm still throwing parties, mind you.
Of
And then,
course.
I started being known as the guy in Dallas that has all the celebrity friends. And
Okay.
so, one of my good friends, Martellus Bennett, he was a rookie for the Cowboys, and so we met at one of my parties, hit it off, realized that we lived around the corner from each other.
Mm.
So now I have a Cowboy player on basically. And so he was a rookie and an early player, so he wasn't getting a lot of playing time, but
Yeah,
he had a big personality, so everybody knew him. So if everybody knows me and everybody knows him, now we're kind of parlaying that like, okay, all right. So when we go places, most people know who we are, and we might be getting more attention than the stars of the team. So
exactly. So you're basically leveraging the
yeah.
people that you were meeting in
Hmm.
terms of associating with them and then moving on further in life to
Yeah.
achieve those goals. People say that you step on someone, but that's not the case, because one opportunity leads to another opportunity.
Yeah. Hmm.
And if you see it as that, then I don't think that being associated or being networked with or partying with someone
Yeah.
is going to have a negative effect on you or your personality, because
Right.
you're using that opportunity to get to where you want to achieve the goals that you want. So how
Yeah.
is it from there on? I mean,
Yeah.
what did you get up to from there? How did
Yeah.
sports come into all of this?
Yeah. So now I'm working with Marcellus, and as he gets more notoriety, I'm helping him with marketing, whether it's starting a clothing line or he does music as well. So I would help him get his music out. He was originally from Houston, so we would do our birthdays were like 5 days apart. So every year we would do a big birthday party in Dallas for my birthday, and then the next weekend we would do party in Houston. And then as he moved around to different teams, of course, I would, still now if he plays for the Giants in New York, now I have access to what's going on in New York. And
Exactly.
yeah, but it was always mutually beneficial because the same way that he helped me get into sports, I helped
You helped
him
him, and
getting more exposure outside of sports.
again, to your concept of barter trading, right?
Yes. Uh-huh. And then another guy that was really pivotal in my career, Delano Washington. He's the guy that gave me the first internship for Sony BMG. And years later, I always had a great relationship with him. So he worked for like a indie Dallas magazine, and so he ended up putting Marcellus on the cover of one of those magazines. So that
So
was
it
another
just is just like the world's going round, right?
Yes, and then later on, and maybe 5 or 6 years ago, by now I've built up my company. I do a lot of email marketing and have a large database. So
Okay.
one day Delano calls me and says, "Hey, there's a new show on FX called Snowfall. Well, the people are in town. John Singleton. They want to do a premiere of the first episode of this show, Snowfall, on FX. So they wanted to do it in Dallas.
Okay.
Well, it was Friday. The screening was that Monday, but they didn't have a lot of RSVPs. So he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna give this lady your number. She's gonna call you." So I said, "Yeah, I'm sure I could get people out there." So I sent out an e-blast Saturday morning, and by Saturday evening, she said, "Hey, we had to shut the list off. It's already full. We have 500 RSVPs."
No
So,
way.
and the theater only held about 150 people. So that was how I got into the film side from doing these big, screenings.
Events,
Of,
screening, partying.
yes,
Wow.
but it all goes back to Delano Washington, and I'm really big on what do they say? Undersell and over deliver, basically. So I'm like, yeah, I think I can get a few people out there. You know what I'm saying? But
just a few. Just a
just
few.
a few, yeah.
But then
But
you break the banks.
Exactly. And by doing that, I would say probably 90 to 95% of my business comes from referrals.
Of course.
So yeah, so people.
That's for any business. I mean, anyone listening right now, it's key. Referrals are key. Word of mouth is key to any business because yes, you get new customers. You could do your Facebook leads, you could do your adverts, you could do all of that stuff. But the point is that when you deliver your service to one person and they're happy with it,
Mhm.
you've got an income coming from there if you look after those people. Wouldn't you agree that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's almost like if you go to a restaurant, a good restaurant, or see a good movie, you're gonna tell your friends like, "Hey, man, this was a good movie. This was a good restaurant. Hey, I read
Exactly.
a book. You should check it out. I saw something for you." And I'm really big on reading books. I just finished 50 Cent's latest book, and it was and I've done work with his companies and things like that before, but just seeing more of his story, knowing more in depth, it was really good. And so that's a book that I'm going to be telling other people that they should
Of
read.
course.
Or maybe that's the gift that I give somebody for a birthday or Christmas or whatever. I just try to
Absolutely.
pass that information on.
So you've worked with many celebrities, many business owners over the years, consulting individuals to consulting big companies like, Sony BMG, the FX show that you've done. What was your motivation? What did you want to achieve
Yeah.
getting all these things together? Where did you
Yeah.
want to get at? I mean, where do you want to get at today?
Yeah, so I love Diddy. I love Jay-Z, Dame Dash. These are some of the people that I look up to, 50 Cent, because they, across different, platforms, basically, they've always been successful.
Of
And
course.
I'm a serial entrepreneur at the end of the day. So I want to be involved in different businesses because I'm passionate about different things. The same way I'm passionate about esports and video games, I'm also passionate about documentaries and biographies and things like that, music, sports. And so I look at it like, okay, well, I have knowledge of all these different industries. So what's more, what would be better than making money in these different
Of
industries?
course. I mean,
But that's how I
I,
look at
I mean, most of the billionaires in the US, they don't have one. They have many,
things.
you
Usually
know.
seven.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think that's the dream that you want to achieve. But coming back to sort of your show,
Yeah.
the Desi show, how did
Yeah.
that come about? I mean, what motivated you to start? I mean, for example, these live sessions that I do on Instagram,
Yeah.
they for me, the lockdown was a motivation,
Yeah.
kind of. I picked that up and I was like, hold on a second, Instagram has got this amazing feature of going live. So I started going live on my own, just talking,
Yeah.
but how much can you talk to yourself or how much can you do with
Right.
yourself? So I was like, okay, we'll start taking on guests. And this is how I started doing live sessions from people all around the world, whether
Yeah.
it's Australia to the US, So what motivated you in terms of starting this show and being a host of such an amazing show?
Yeah. So the way mine started was very similar to what you're saying, right? It's a lockdown. I would very much love to come to the UK, you know what I'm saying, where you are, but right box, so I can't go anywhere, right? So so during when the pandemic first started, I used to do a lot of events, and as I told you, I'm a connector, so I have a lot of contacts, and I'm usually at different events, whether that be here in Dallas or LA or Houston or New York or wherever. And so once the pandemic hit, nobody really was traveling anywhere, and so I said, you know what? I know a lot of people, and a lot of people are at home right now. Now I used to.
bored, bored, haven't got anything to do.
Exactly. So I used to produce a podcast for Martellus called Revenge of the Jocks, and it was on Podcast One. So, and then I listened to the Joe Budden podcast quite a bit. So I know the industry is going and growing, and I know that terrestrial radio is starting to, it'll eventually come down a little bit because
Yeah,
people are just listening to podcasts. So
exactly.
I was like, what? I've been thinking about starting a podcast for a while. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and start it. But then I started thinking it, like I'm not a celebrity. I have a lot of contacts, but me personally, I'm not a celebrity. So instead of just starting a traditional podcast, maybe recording on Zoom or something like that, I looked at it differently and said, if I record, say if me and you do this on Zoom,
Yep,
and we'll record it. Hopefully, people will see me and you on the page together once I post it and edit it. Hopefully, you will repost it so your people are aware that you came on my show.
of
But it's no
course.
guarantee, right? It's no
Yep,
guarantee that it goes anywhere past that. But
of
I
course.
said, if I do it on Instagram Live, no matter if it's 5 people that check in or 55 people that check in,
Your
if I
name's
go
getting out there.
if I go live on Instagram with a celebrity, it's at least going to notify their 10,000, 100,000, a million people that they
Of
went
course.
live with me. So I don't care if they reposted or not. They went live with me. So that's
Exactly.
all that matters. And then the reason I started making my flyers to put it in the story was because, like, if I send a celebrity a flyer, they may post it on their page. But if I put it on the story and tag them, 9 times out of 10,
They
they'll
will share it.
repost it. Yeah, they'll
Exactly.
reshare it.
Because it's
Then I
just
go,
one button, right? Add to story. That's it. You're done.
yes. So, so that's how I came up with it. And so since the pandemic, I've definitely interviewed over 150 people. And so
Wow.
now I'm looking at how I can monetize it. But that's when I go back to some of the brands that I work with, like Wingstop. And Wingstop says, hey, National Wing Day is coming up. We have um, a virtual festival, and DJ Jazzy Jeff curated it. So we're gonna send you a Wingstop gift bag. Wear the stuff. We're gonna set it up to where you can interview Jazzy Jeff. Which is basically enhancing my show even more.
Of course.
Paid a little bit too. So it's like even if they didn't pay, it would be all good because long as I'm associated with this company, say if Wingstop gives me a check, or say if they don't, say if they just give me product. If Wingstop gives me product, now when Wendy sees my show, they don't know if Wingstop paid me, gave me product or whatever. All they know is I'm associated with this company, and
That's
so they
it.
build off of that to to try to monetize it.
Absolutely. I mean, so much, really. I mean, half an hour is not enough, but so much to gather and so much knowledge in terms of how you started just by selling sweets, just by selling sweets at school,
Yeah,
to putting that all together, what you learned. I mean, some of the stuff that we spoke about, like you coming back to the same old boss that gave you your
yeah.
first break, you
Hmm.
know, this is what people need to learn in terms of, I think the fact that when people either start a job or start a business, whatever it is, they don't see what connections they have or what network, or where they've networked with people.
Yeah.
Because every time you go back to them, some or the other opportunity will open up for you.
Yeah.
You're a true example of that. And this is why I do it with individuals like yourself, because yes, the big celebrities, the big CEOs, and the big businessmen have also achieved it, but maybe
Hmm.
they don't have the time to come on here, sit on a podcast, sit on a live, and give that out. But
Yeah.
yet, individual people like yourself have are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So this is
And
why learning from them.
that, it's very important as you build, right? So say for instance, if I'm trying to, and I'll just use him as example. Say if I'm trying to get to LeBron James, everybody's trying to interview LeBron James.
Of course.
I don't need LeBron James, but if I can get Mav Carter, if I can get somebody else within his circle, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna come up in conversation. Like, hey, I heard you did such and such show. Like,
Exactly. You see?
Like I
So
don't want
it will come back to you. And that's what you got to remember all the time, that you put in the effort, but you got to wait for it to materialize, to give you the result. You know,
to,
results are not instant. But Desi, it's been amazing talking to you.
man.
Thank
Thank
you
you so.
for taking out the time, coming on here, sharing your experience, your knowledge. But before you go, you know, we've like it's been a year now, a year of negativity, I guess. A lot of
Yeah,
negativity. It be in the US, it be in the UK, wherever in the world, people have gone through that, through lockdown, businesses going down, jobs getting out, you know, whatever it is. What positive advice would you like to share with the world today so that they can take that on board, and whatever negative thoughts, negative sentiment they have around it, they can put that on the side and move forward in life?
yeah. You know, most people look at the pandemic as, all doom and gloom. And, and there's definitely, prayers out to the people that have been affected by it, right? You know, even when bad things happen, there's always a glimmer of hope in it, regardless, right?
Of course.
My dad passed away at the beginning of September due to cancer, and so even in going through that and grieving and everything like that, I look at it like at the end of the day, I've been prepared for this moment. One of the last things he told me was, "I've taught you everything I could teach you," and so I'm constantly always finding affirmations within the world. And I try to always, like, most people look at it like what do they say, the glass is half.
Half full.
Yeah, I'm a half full. Like, anything that I see, I'm gonna say, well, why wouldn't it work? Like, I'm
Exactly.
gonna be pessimistic and say that will never.
Have that optimistic thinking, and you'll go
Yes.
further in life.
Yeah, and this is an opportunity. The pandemic is an opportunity to refocus, to reshuffle the deck. Everybody's on the same playing field right now. If you have
Exactly.
a phone and you know how to use your cell phone, like, you can shoot a show the way we shoot shows.
Exactly.
You can do anything, because, like, that maybe that celebrity that hosts that show, they can't go to the studio right now, so they don't know what
Exactly.
to do. But we gonna figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Desi,
So
but it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on here and being a
absolutely.
part of it.
Yeah, anytime, man. And let me know if you ever need anything from me, or if I need to jump back on anytime. I definitely will.
When you're in London, do give me a shout out. It'll be good to catch up.
Absolutely, man. I love well, I don't know if it's still open now, but the box. The box is my spot in London, and the W Hotel down on the
Yeah,
square,
yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
spot in London. So yeah, I'm definitely go pull up on you.
See you then.
All
Thank you
right,
so much,
man.
Desi. Take care. Peace. So that was Dessie Brown Jr., the host of the Desi Show. Check it out. You know, it's an amazing show that he has going on there. Same thing, live session, and so much to learn as an entrepreneur of how he started to where he got to. Amazing guy. Um, Thank you to Desi for joining me today. Thank you to all the viewers that tuned in. It's been a pleasure. Have a good weekend, whatever you're doing. Stay safe, and I shall see you again next week. Take care. Bye bye.